The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the ancient hologram flickered to life. Representatives from over 300 species leaned forward in their seats, their eyes fixed on the shimmering figure that appeared before them. It had been over 5 centuries since the Elders had last made contact with the Council. The Elder's form took shape, tall, ethereal, and carrying the weight of countless millennia in its glowing eyes. When it spoke, its voice echoed with the wisdom of ages past. "We break our silence because we must," the Elder said, its voice resonating through the chamber. "You have discovered a species that you believe to be primitive. You see their limited reach into space and think them weak. This is a grave mistake." The council members exchanged confused looks. Many had expected news of a cosmic disaster or an invasion from beyond the galaxy's edge. Instead, this ancient being was worried about some newcomers to the galactic stage. "Respected Elder," spoke Head Counselor Reed, his blue scales shimmering under the chamber's lights, "are you referring to the humans? They have barely colonized their own solar system. Their technology is centuries behind even our youngest member species." The Elder's image shifted, and suddenly the chamber filled with projections. Scenes from Earth's history. Wars, natural disasters, plagues, and countless catastrophes played out before the Council's eyes. But after each disaster came scenes of rebuilding, of humanity rising stronger than before. "Look closer," the Elder commanded. "They call their homeworld Earth. We call it Death World Class 7. No other intelligent species has evolved on such a hostile planet. Their gravity is crushing. Their weather systems are chaos incarnate, their planetary defense shield, what they call the atmosphere, is thick enough to burn most ships on entry." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Death World Class 7 planets were considered uninhabitable. The very idea that life could evolve there, let alone achieve space travel, seemed impossible. "But surely," a younger council member interrupted, "this only proves their primitive nature. They haven't even overcome their planet's limitations." The Elder's form grew larger, its patience visibly thinning. "You fool. They haven't overcome these limitations because they don't see them as limitations. They thrive in conditions that would kill any of you in minutes. Their bodies can repair radiation damage. They can break and heal bones that would cripple your species permanently. They can survive in temperature ranges that would freeze or boil your blood." The chamber grew quiet again as the Elder continued. "And most importantly, they possess something unique, an adaptability that borders on the impossible. Where other species specialize, humans generalize. Where others perfect a single solution, humans create dozens. They call it thinking outside the box. But they are the only species we have ever encountered that even understands the concept of the box." Head Counselor Reed raised his hand. "What would you have us do? We cannot ignore an emerging spacefaring species in our territory. Treat them with respect," the Elder said firmly. "Approach them as equals, despite their apparent technological gap. Because if you don't, if you treat them as primitive or attempt to dominate them, you will learn why no species has ever successfully invaded Earth." The Elder's image began to fade, but its final words rang clearly through the chamber. "They are not primitive. They are not weak. They are survivors of a world that should have killed them before they ever learned to make fire. Remember this warning, because if you choose to provoke humanity, we will not help you survive what follows." As the hologram disappeared, the chamber erupted in heated debate. Most dismissed the warning as the paranoid ramblings of a species too long removed from galactic affairs. Others called for caution and further observation of these humans. But in the back of the chamber, a representative from the Meridian Empire smiled. His people had been looking for a way to expand their territory, and surely these humans, despite the Elder's warning, would make an easy target. How wrong he would prove to be. Captain Tom Walker stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Defender, watching the unknown vessels approach. 3 massive ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system, their designs unlike anything humans had seen before. They were beautiful in a way, sleek, curved, and nearly twice the size of Earth's largest vessels. "Sir," his first officer said, "they're broadcasting a message." Walker nodded, straightening his uniform. "Put it through." The screen lit up, showing a tall, elegant being with metallic-looking skin. "I am High Commander Rax of the Meridian Empire. Your species has been granted the honor of joining our domain. Prepare to receive our representatives." Walker kept his face neutral, though his jaw tightened slightly. "High Commander, I am Captain Walker of the Earth Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact, but Earth is not seeking to join any empire. We would be happy to discuss trade and diplomatic relations as equals." The alien commander's expression shifted to something like amusement. "You misunderstand, Captain. This is not a negotiation. The Meridian Empire does not negotiate with primitive species. You will submit, or we will demonstrate our power." "Sir," Walker's sensor officer interrupted, "there's a civilian research vessel in the area, the Morgan Science Station. They're conducting deep space studies." Walker turned back to the screen. "High Commander, I must inform you that any hostile action will be met with appropriate force. We request that you withdraw to a safe distance while we establish proper diplomatic channels." The Meridian commander laughed, an odd metallic sound. "Your primitive weapons do not concern us. Perhaps a demonstration is needed." He made a gesture, and one of his ships turned toward the research station. "Don't do this," Walker warned, his voice firm. "Those are civilians." "They are a lesson," Rax replied. The Meridian ship fired a single shot, a beam of energy that cut through space. The research station, home to 53 scientists and researchers, erupted in a ball of fire. The bridge of the Defender fell silent. Walker's hands gripped his command chair, his knuckles white. When he spoke, his voice was cold and clear. "You were warned, Commander, not by me, but by beings far older and wiser than either of us. You chose not to listen. Are you threatening us, primitive?" Rax sneered. Walker pressed a button on his chair. "All Earth Defense Force ships. This is Captain Walker. Authorization code Alpha 7 Delta. The Meridians have fired upon and destroyed the Morgan Science Station. 53 civilian casualties. Implement Protocol Zulu. I repeat, implement Protocol Zulu." Suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple. Where there had been empty void, 20 Earth ships appeared, dropping their stealth fields. They had been there the whole time, hidden by technology the Meridians had assumed was far beyond human capabilities. "What is this?" Rax demanded, his composure cracking. "This," Walker said quietly, "is humanity showing you why the Elders warned you. All ships, open fire." The Earth fleet moved with practiced precision. Their ships, though smaller, demonstrated maneuvers that the Meridians had never seen before. They attacked from angles that seemed to defy normal space combat doctrine, using formations that looked chaotic but carried deadly purpose. Within minutes, 2 of the Meridian ships were crippled. The third, carrying Commander Rax, managed to jump away, but not before taking heavy damage. As the Meridian ships retreated, Walker sent one final message. "Tell your empire what happened here. Tell them that humanity would have welcomed you as friends. Remember that you chose this path. And know that we are coming." In the days that followed, the news spread across the galaxy. The Meridian Empire, one of the oldest powers in known space, had been humbled by a primitive species in their first encounter. The Elders' warning began to make more sense to many who had dismissed it. The war that would reshape the galaxy had begun. The battle that would become known as the Proxima Centauri Showdown started exactly 1 week after the Morgan Station incident. The Meridian Empire, burning with shame and anger, sent their most powerful battle fleet, 30 warships under the command of Grand Admiral Rex, their most decorated military leader. They expected to find a primitive species scrambling to prepare defenses. Instead, they found humanity waiting for them. "Multiple jumps detected," called out the sensor officer aboard the new human flagship, Vengeance. The ship's commander, Admiral Lisa Stone, watched calmly as the Meridian fleet appeared. "Right on schedule," she said, looking at the tactical display. "They're exactly where intelligence said they'd be. All ships, execute battle plan Thunder." The human fleet was smaller, just 15 ships. But in the week since the first attack, they had made modifications. Every ship now carried the latest version of the adaptive combat system, a human AI that could learn and adjust strategies in real time. The Meridian ships moved into their famous spear formation, a tactic that had won them countless battles over the centuries. Grand Admiral Rex stood proudly on his bridge, watching. "Primitive humans," he broadcast on all frequencies, "your defeat will serve as an example to all who would defy the Empire. Surrender now and—" His speech was cut short as the human fleet did something unexpected. Instead of forming up for a traditional space battle, their ships split into 3 groups and began spinning, creating what looked like chaos. "What are they doing?" Rex demanded. "No fleet fights like this. It's madness." But it wasn't madness. It was human innovation at its finest. The spinning ships activated their new gravitational pulse drives, technology the humans had kept hidden for years. The spinning created a massive gravitational wave that rippled through space. The Meridian ships, caught in their tight formation, were pulled and pushed like leaves in a storm. "Impossible," Rex shouted as his perfectly ordered fleet was thrown into disarray. "Their technology shouldn't be capable of this." Admiral Stone's voice came over the comm system, calm and clear. "That's your first mistake, Admiral. You keep thinking about what we shouldn't be capable of. Let us show you what we can do." The human ships stopped spinning and attacked. They moved in ways that defied traditional space combat logic, using the gravitational waves they had created to slingshot themselves at impossible angles. Each ship's AI calculated perfect firing solutions that no organic gunner could match. The Meridian fleet, their formation broken, tried to adapt. But their rigid training and traditional tactics were no match for human flexibility. Where they expected ships to move in straight lines, humans curved. Where they predicted standard attack patterns, humans improvised. 5 Meridian ships fell in the first 3 minutes, 7 more in the next 5. The rest tried to retreat, but the gravitational distortions made their jump calculations unreliable. "Hold your positions," Rex ordered his remaining ships. "We are the Meridian Empire. We do not retreat from primitives." Those were his last words before a precise strike from the Vengeance cut his flagship in half. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, 28 Meridian ships were destroyed. The remaining 2 managed to jump away, carrying with them tales of combat that would send shockwaves through the Empire. Admiral Stone stood on her bridge, looking at the aftermath. "Send word to Earth Command," she said quietly. "Tell them Proxima Centauri is secure. And send this message to the Meridian Empire. This was just our first response. Stop now, or see what happens when humanity truly goes to war." In the observation room of a cloaked ship nearby, one of the elders watched silently. The warning had been ignored, and now the galaxy would learn why that had been a terrible mistake. The age of human advancement had begun. 2 months after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, the War Council of the Meridian Empire gathered in their crystal palace on their homeworld. The room was filled with holograms showing their recent defeats. Fleet Admiral Max, who had replaced the fallen Rex, stood before the Emperor with his head bowed. "My Emperor," Max said, his metallic skin dulled with stress. "The humans, they're not fighting like any species we've encountered. Every time we think we understand their capabilities, they reveal something new." The Emperor's eyes glowed with anger. "Explain." A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing a recent battle. A single human ship faced off against 5 Meridian cruisers. The human vessel's hull began to shift and change, adapting its shape to better handle incoming fire. "Impossible technology," one of the council members whispered. "No," Max corrected, "human technology. They call it smart metal. Their ships can heal damage and change shape during battle. Our weapons become less effective with each encounter because their ships learn and adapt. The Emperor stood, his patience wearing thin. Surely these primitives have a weakness. What of their AI systems? Max changed the hologram to show another battle. That's another problem. My Emperor, we tried to hack their systems. The hologram showed a Meridian cyber attack hitting a human ship. Instead of disabling it, the human AI absorbed the attack, grew stronger, and sent back a counterattack that disabled 3 Meridian vessels. Their eyes, Max continued, they're not like ours. They don't just follow programs. They think. They learn. They evolve. And worst of all, they work perfectly with their human commanders, creating strategies we can't predict. Another council member spoke up, but we still have superior numbers. We should overwhelm them with. He was cut off as new alarms blared through the palace. The hologram changed to show a live feed. A single human ship had appeared in orbit around their homeworld, somehow bypassing all their defenses. The human ship broadcast on all frequencies. Captain Walker's face appeared on their screens. Meridian Empire, he said calmly. Consider this a demonstration. The ship fired a single shot, not at the planet, but at empty space. The empty space exploded with light, and suddenly half of the Meridian defense fleet vanished. Quantum space manipulation, Walker explained, as if teaching a class. You see, while you were busy building bigger ships, we were learning how to bend reality itself. That shot didn't destroy your ships. It just moved them to the other side of your solar system. They'll drift back eventually. The council room erupted in chaos. The Emperor himself stood speechless. We have more technologies you haven't seen yet, Walker continued. Many more. This is your final warning. End this war, or we'll be forced to show you all of them. The transmission cut off, and the human ship vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. In the silence that followed, an elder materialized in the council chamber, the same one who had warned the Galactic Council months ago. Now do you understand? The elder asked quietly. Humans didn't just survive on their death world. They thrived. They didn't just develop technology. They reimagined what was possible. While you were perfecting your energy weapons, they were learning to fold space. While you were building bigger ships, they were making ships that could think and change. The Emperor found his voice at last. Why didn't they show this power before? Because, the elder replied, humans don't believe in showing all their cards at once. And trust me, they're still holding back. The only question is, how many more demonstrations do you need before you understand what you're really dealing with? The Emperor looked at the hologram of his scattered fleet, and for the first time in Meridian history, felt true fear. The Emperor of the Meridian Empire had made his final, fatal mistake. After months of losses, he decided that one massive strike at Earth would break human resolve. He gathered every ship the Empire could spare, 200 warships, their largest fleet ever assembled. Let them adapt to this, he announced to his commanders as the fleet prepared to jump. On Earth, the Defense Command Center deep under the Rocky Mountains buzzed with activity. Admiral Stone stood with Captain Walker, watching the massive holographic display as red dots appeared, representing the incoming Meridian fleet. They really thought we wouldn't see them coming, Walker said, shaking his head. All those ships, gathering for weeks. Did they think we weren't watching? Stone smiled slightly. Time to show them what happens when you push humanity into a corner. Send the signal. Across the solar system, hidden facilities sparked to life. On Mars, massive hangars opened beneath the red sand. From the dark side of the moon, ships emerged from invisible docks. Around Jupiter, defense platforms that had been disguised as small moons powered up. The Meridian fleet arrived in waves of blue light, spreading out to surround Earth. The Emperor himself led the attack from his new flagship. No signs of their fleet, his sensor officer reported. Their orbital defenses are minimal. The Emperor smiled. Begin the attack. Show them the price of defying thee. His words stopped as new signals appeared on their sensors. Hundreds of them. Thousands. From Mars, a fleet of automated drone ships launched, each equipped with the same adaptive AI that had proven so effective in earlier battles. From the Moon, larger warships emerged, their hulls made of the smart metal that could heal and change shape. The Jupiter platforms activated, creating a web of quantum space disruption that trapped half the Meridian fleet in a maze of folded space. And from Earth itself, something new appeared. Massive rings of energy rose from the atmosphere, surrounding the planet like Saturn's rings. Walker's voice broadcast across all frequencies. You came here thinking you would find our homeworld weakly defended. Instead, you found humanity's fortress. Those who warned you about us weren't exaggerating. Earth isn't just our home. It's the place that taught us how to survive anything. The rings of energy pulsed, and suddenly every Meridian ship's weapons went dead. Our planet's magnetic field, Walker explained casually, we learned to harness it centuries ago. We just never had a reason to show anyone. Your weapons run on plasma containment. Guess what happens when we manipulate magnetic fields on a planetary scale? The human fleet moved in perfect coordination. Drones swarmed the larger Meridian ships, while the larger vessels targeted their command ships. The Jupiter platforms shifted space itself, trapping Meridian ships in pockets of distorted reality. The Emperor watched in horror as his mighty fleet was torn apart by weapons and tactics his people had never imagined possible. How? He demanded over the command channel. How did you hide all of this? Admiral Stone answered him. We didn't hide it. You just never asked. Humanity learned long ago that it's better to have power and not show it than to show power you don't have. Everything you've seen today. It's been here all along, waiting for someone foolish enough to attack our home. The battle lasted less than an hour. Of the 200 Meridian ships that arrived, only 20 survived to retreat. The Emperor's flagship, trapped in a quantum space fold, was captured intact. As Stone and Walker stood on the bridge of the captured flagship, an elder appeared beside them. Now you understand, it said to the captured Emperor. They survived on a world that should have killed them. Did you really think they did that without learning to fight? The Emperor looked at Earth through the viewport, finally understanding just how badly he had underestimated humanity. 1 month after the Battle of Earth, the combined human fleet arrived at the edges of Meridian space. 500 ships strong, they represented the full might of humanity's space forces. But this time, they came not to fight, but to end the war. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the flagship Peacekeeper, a name chosen very deliberately for this mission. Beside her, the captured Meridian Emperor watched his empire's worlds through the main viewport. Your conquest ends here, Stone said quietly. But we're not here to destroy you. The Emperor turned to her, confusion clear on his metallic features. After what we did, you have the power to wipe us out. Why show mercy? Because that's another thing you never understood about humans, Captain Walker said as he entered the bridge. We're not just good at fighting. We're good at making peace too. The main screen lit up, showing the Meridian capital world. But instead of weapons, the human fleet activated their communication systems. Stone's voice broadcast to every Meridian ship, station, and planet in range. People of the Meridian Empire, she began, your fleet is defeated. Your emperor is in our custody, but we do not seek your destruction. Instead, we offer you a choice. The humans had prepared carefully for this moment. On every world, they showed holographic proof of the recent battles. They showed the failed attack on Earth, the defeated fleets, and the captured emperor. But they also showed something else. Images of human worlds where other alien species lived and worked freely alongside humans. Your empire was built on the idea that stronger species should rule weaker ones. Stone continued, we're here to show you a different way. On Earth, we learned long ago that true strength comes from working together, not from dominating others. Walker stepped forward, adding his own message. Your ships are more beautiful than ours. Your cities are works of art. Your people have talents and skills we admire. We don't want to destroy any of that. We want to learn from you, and maybe you can learn from us too." The response was not what anyone expected. Across Meridian space, ships began powering down their weapons. Cities turned on their lights in acceptance. The Meridian people, seeing the truth about the war for the first time, chose peace. In orbit around the capital world, the Meridian High Council gathered on their station to officially surrender. But Stone surprised them all by tearing up the surrender document. "We don't want your surrender," she said. "We want your friendship. Look." She showed them new images. Human engineers already helping repair damaged Meridian ships, human doctors treating the wounded from both sides, human scientists eager to collaborate with Meridian researchers. The Emperor watched all this from the Peacekeeper's bridge, his earlier confusion turning to understanding. "All this time," he said slowly, "we thought being strong meant standing above others. But you proved that real strength is being able to stand together." An elder appeared on the bridge, as they often did at important moments now. "This is why we warned you," it said to the Emperor. "Not because humans are dangerous enemies, though they are, but because they can be such valuable friends. They survived their death world not just through strength, but through cooperation, through innovation, through unity." The war was over, but more importantly, a new era was beginning. Across Meridian space, their people looked up at the human fleet not with fear, but with hope. They had learned the hardest lesson any empire could learn. True power isn't about control. It's about cooperation. And humanity, despite their victory, showed that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is offer peace to those who once wanted war. 5 years after the end of the war, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different. The old hierarchical arrangement of seats was gone, replaced by a circular chamber where all species sat as equals. At the center of this chamber stood Admiral Walker, now Earth's representative to the Council, preparing to address the gathered delegates. 5 years ago, he began, looking around the chamber. "Many of you thought humans were primitive. Some of you even laughed at the Elder's warning." He smiled slightly. "I think we've moved past that now." The chamber filled with gentle laughter. Among the delegates sat the former Meridian Emperor, now his people's elected representative. His once bright metallic skin had taken on a more subdued, wisdom-bearing shade. "Humanity never wanted to be a galactic power," Walker continued. "We were content exploring our corner of space, learning, growing. But the war changed everything. It forced us to reveal capabilities we'd kept hidden, powers we'd hoped never to use." The main display activated, showing images from across the galaxy. Human ships patrolled trade routes alongside vessels from other species. The quantum space technology that had once been a weapon now powered a network of transport gates, connecting distant worlds. The adaptive AI systems helped coordinate disaster relief and scientific research. "But our greatest achievement wasn't winning the war," Walker said. "It was what we did after." The display showed the transformed Meridian worlds. Their cities had grown more beautiful than ever, combining their artistic architecture with human engineering. Their ships still carried weapons, but now worked together with human vessels to protect peaceful species from pirates and raiders. Admiral Stone, watching from her seat, remembered the day they'd chosen this path. "We could have ruled," she whispered to the elder seated beside her. "We had the power." The elder nodded. "That's precisely why you were worthy of it. Those who desire power the least are often the best suited to wield it." Walker was still speaking. "Today, we're not here to celebrate human achievement. We're here to celebrate partnership. Every species in this council has something unique to offer. The Meridians taught us about art and beauty. The Centaurians showed us new ways to understand quantum physics. The Rigelians revolutionized our medicine." He gestured to the elder. "And you, who tried to warn others about us. You taught us perhaps the most important lesson, that knowledge shared is better than knowledge hoarded." The chamber's lights dimmed, and a new hologram appeared. Earth, spinning slowly in space. But now it wasn't alone. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species orbited it, their crews learning from human instructors about survival, adaptation, and innovation. "We turned our death world into a school," Walker explained, "where species can learn not just how to survive, but how to thrive. Because that's what humanity does best. We adapt, we learn, and we teach others to do the same." The elder stood, its ancient form glowing softly. "When I warned the council about humanity, I didn't do it out of fear. I did it out of hope. Hope that the galaxy would be wise enough to welcome humanity as friends rather than challenge them as enemies. Some listened, some didn't. But in the end, humanity proved to be exactly what the galaxy needed. A species that understood both the art of war and the greater art of peace." Walker looked out at the assembled delegates. Former enemies, now friends. Former rivals, now partners. "The stars echoed with a warning about humanity," he said softly. "Now let them echo with something else. A promise of cooperation, of mutual growth, of shared wisdom." The chamber erupted in applause. The age of conflict was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And humanity, the species from the death world, had found its true purpose, not as conquerors, but as teachers, protectors, and friends to all who wished to learn from their long journey from survival to prosperity. In the back of the chamber, Captain Walker's old tactical display gathered dust, a relic of a time when humanity had been forced to bare its teeth. Now, they showed the galaxy their true strength, the power to turn enemies into friends and fear into hope.